Celebrate the launching of the EIC website. If you don't know about us, we're basically the Entrepreneurship Stud Co-Committee on grounds, basically working with all the other entrepreneurship groups on grounds and in the Charlottesville area, basically to cultivate it, to grow it, and make it stronger, better, and ultimately a bigger part of the UVA community, since entrepreneurship is ultimately and always will be the future for the United States and for the world. And today, I guess I have the honor of introducing an entrepreneur in the local community who will be our keynote speaker. Spencer Ingram is a graduate of the UVA Engineering School and has a BS in Engineering and an MA in Environmental Sciences. In the past couple of years, he's done quite a few entrepreneurship ventures, including one with solar energy, which was basically pushing it in the UVA community and around it, along with two ones focused basically on bicycling. And he's also the founder of HackCville, which is the local, I guess, entrepreneurial think tank here where you can go there and work on projects. I personally went there for a group thing. That was probably one of the best experiences I've ever gone to. We started a project over a weekend, and I'm still working on it with my team in Richmond. So, without further ado, Spencer Ingram.
Thank you for that introduction. I'm really encouraged to see that everyone here are students. I had a meeting this morning with admin in entrepreneurship who, when there's no students, I don't count you as a student, but there are no students there, and that was disappointing to me. So to get things started, this presentation I put together, I was actually expecting to have more of the admin here, because I had to kind of stick it to them. So I'm going to maybe adapt on the fly. And in doing so, I want to get to know everybody in the room since we have a small enough group to work with. So if we could, really quickly, roll around and give me your name, year, and the project you're working on or wish you could work on, if you don't have one. There's all these ideas in one room, and we've got like maybe 15, 16 people. I'm with HackCville. Our whole objective here is to kick you in the pants to do more of these projects. When I was here with Alexis, like the Reddit guys, and Steve, Sam Odio, there was no entrepreneurship to speak of. There were no clubs, no EG, no seed, no classes. The Business Minor Engineering School was a pilot program. We weren't even getting credit for it. So things have come a really long way. I think it's important to recognize that. So just real quick about me, on top of that introduction, you can find me at HackCville.com. I am a double who, a persistent optimist, and my most recent project was HackCville, and like two things. Sneak peek, my next project is best one ever, where I'm going after career services. So I'm going to ask you then, after that introduction, what is the key to a successful startup community? Just shout it out. What is the key?
Involvement.
Involvement, okay. What's involvement? Expand.
You need to actually have people be interested in making something. The rest sort of flows from there.
Okay, people interested in making something. Resources. Resources, collaboration. Persistence. Great. Trait. What? So fundamentally, people making something.
And
doing stuff.
Like executing?
Yeah, exactly. When you get a room full of the community around entrepreneurship, you hear things like capital and accelerators and all that stuff. Really, it's just startups, it's just people doing stuff, right? There's no startup community without startups, and that's what you all are doing this, right? You've got a half dozen ideas, and the rest of you are looking at things that you wish you were doing, and I can give you a project right now that is happening in that space. For each one of you that had some sort of inklings of thoughts. So this is about two things to big startups. We want more of you, more entrepreneurs. And secondly, we want you to swim into each other, just like you are tonight. Having events like this, having the site like EIC say, this is what's going on, go there, collide with one another, and share your projects. So I'm going to start quickly into the make more entrepreneurs. And simply it is, to Greg's point, do. Don't try. Simply do. Get started, fall on your face a few times, get up, fall on your face a few times, and keep going. You don't need permission to do entrepreneurship. Like, don't come to me and say, like, is this a good idea? Think this is a good idea? Because I don't know. I'm probably walking out of the camera a lot, right? That's okay. I'll stand over here and kind of save my place. You don't need permission for this. Just lean in. Start hacking things together. just don't play by the rules. You know, you're in an awesome place to do this. Don't plan. Start doing it. I'm probably going to wear that word out, right? But also do something that matters to you. If betting on Super Bowl games is like the thing that you are so epically engrossed in doing, then knock yourself out by that. You know, if you want to get an international trade, knock yourself out. Do what's important to you. Don't come up with like the idea that's going to make you a lot of money. You know, you've got 2, 3, 4 years ahead of you, each year. Use that time wisely and ask a lot of questions. Because what's really nice about being a student and things that I took for granted is that you're in a space where you're surrounded by experts all the time. And you have nothing but the opportunity to ask questions. And I'd also like to suggest that we stop thinking about startups. We start thinking about create-ups. I think startups, they muddy the water, they make it confusing. Now there's a business involved and some kind of profit strategy, and we're going to put all these teams together. Really just start leaning in. If it's something that matters to you, you'll find the people to surround yourself with that also care about what you're working on. And you're just going to create new things. You want to live in the future and build what seems interesting. This is a big Paul Graham, I don't know if it's a big quote, it was a snippet in one of his most recent blog posts. And this is sort of like where I fit with HackCville. I visited earlier this year. He was a graduate of my year in engineering, and he went on to found DVShot, which he sold to Facebook, worked for Facebook for a number of years in their photo uploading and sharing division. So, and when we were in school, that's what cell phones looked like. That was 10 years ago, and he's like, there's Sam. He's like, this is sweet. He tells a story. He's like, of course, the thing is like, iteration 1, gotta pull up your pant leg, not so helpful. You know, suddenly you put it on your hand, and you've got this thing that you can find in Dick's Sporting Goods across the country. Didn't stick to it. You know, one thing after another. Sam started to create this rule, right? After 2 or 3 times around the block of not sticking to it, was give it 2 years. Outlive everybody else, because you have, again, uniquely, you're in college, you don't have a lot of responsibility, you have all these experts, you know, a mortgage and kids and so forth, and you can outlive a lot of people. So you need to also be curious and imaginative. Most successful entrepreneurs don't actually have brilliant ideas, they discover them. So the idea is here to be observant, to observe ideas. Great Paul Graham article on this, actually. If you don't know Paul Graham, Google him. It'll send you straight to his essays. He talks a lot about how you discover ideas. I think you sort of train yourself to look for these things. When you discover good ideas, it's because people tend to care about them, tend to be real problems. You need to be relentlessly resourceful. I hear a lot about like the capital question. We need to raise some money. We need more angels. And again, you don't have that many expenses for the most part. You're not necessarily setting up a nuclear power plant. You're starting internet-enabled companies. Even in the power industry that I was in, we didn't have any overhead. Just our staff. What did we want to pay ourselves? And yet we were building multi-million-dollar, multi-megawatt projects. All the assets were held by other individuals. Good example of being resourceful, when we got furniture for HackCville, we got a minivan. I had a minivan with no seats. And we drove around UVA in May and just pulled things off the curb. If you want to find really good furniture, go to the law school. They have no sense of value. You need to be a little bit contrarian as well. This is go back to being a rule breaker. Start to lean it, shake it up a little bit, ruffle some feathers. It's like my favorite thing to do. And these are contrarians. This was a business started by a good friend that I and many of my friends worked for during school. It will now have been long enough ago that we sold it that I don't think any of you remember. Happy Rickshaw. It's myself. So what we did, we got these are pedicabs. And we would had a warehouse downtown. We would come to grounds on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights and pick up rides, like a taxi service. We spent most of our money throwing these parties. invited more of our contrarian friends. This is the most contrarian guy I know. Ian Ayers, he was the founder, professional cyclist for 2.5 years, and now he works on the second floor of HackCville. So he's the kind of guy you can roll in any day, as long as he's there. He's an entrepreneur, so he tends to be out doing stuff. But tap him on the shoulder and say, like, give me 10 minutes. I just want to drop some ideas on you. This job rocked. This was like the best thing that we ever did in school. There's a lot of classes that I took, but this was the thing I remember. And so I thought afterwards, like, man, we should carry stuff. We can carry people. They're heavy, but let's carry some stuff. And be like the last mile logistics. It's so crowded with trucks, and I thought it was brilliant. They were brilliant. And we went to a bigger box. This was insulated. We were carrying fish. The fish guy thought we were crazy. And then we saw this company, and we were like, holy crap, we're so onto it. This is going to be so baller. And this job sucks. The reality is, when you start to actually have to deliver stuff on a consistent schedule every day in the rain and in the cold and the heat, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. And we took our losses. We only spent what we had. We used the resources available to us. Seeing this thing started, like the boxes, we made it all ourselves. And we started it on it, and it was terrible. It's just not fun to do. So we cut our losses, and we remained flexible. And that's the last point. And we took what we had with us, and we started a pop-up bike shop on West Main. There were no bike shops that you could come to. If your bike broke, you had to put it in a car and go to 29 to get to a bike shop. This was awesome because he gave us meeting, delivering stuff, not so much. That was the kind of the big epiphany learning lesson there. And in doing so, we were able to hold these events and races, lots of the stuff that built and brought people together. Very much like what we do now for entrepreneurship. And when you bring people together, this is the second part, you want to have those collisions. Collisions come from things like meetups, EGM. You guys are awesome at having meetups. There's like regular Friday stuff now at HackCville. There are speakers, there are workshops, you've got open projects. There's a dozen of them listed on the HackCville website now, another dozen they'll be up in the next week. Asking you, what do you want to do? Here's what we got. Come join us. Pitch nights. Fill an auditorium with the EGM pitch night last semester. Clubs, student game developers. If you want to knock out some video games. Parfait, student mobile development organization. Again, I mentioned EGA, UVA. Is that how you do it now? Seed, social side of things. Then finally, HackCville. If you were talking about making collisions, we are the Large Hadron Collider of collisions. That's what we want to create here. We have groups. We have Monday Night Hack Night. Just build stuff. Not asking you to be an entrepreneur. Just build stuff. So we took this. This house, and we turned it into a place where you could have those collisions. It's the same room, about $2,000 later. And our whole objective here is that there are awesome people working on the coolest projects. Aspiring entrepreneurs. This is let's not worry about that. Let's not worry about startups and all. Like I said, let's just start doing it. My whole sentiment is do more of what you did, delivering stuff on bikes. Not nearly as cool as delivering people, because it's kind of like a party every Friday. Not so much a party when you're delivering fish. And just know that you will make mistakes. Learn from them. It's like the high level part. All right, do better next time. And don't give up. So I have a challenge for everybody. And that is, if you really want to foster the startup community, then start something. We shared all our projects here in the beginning. Lean in, start something. Come see me. I'm more than happy to kick you back out the door to go interact with real people. And then, or join an existing project. Find out what's out there, what's interesting. Even if it's not your project, you have no ownership in it, just stand there and get it. Just whiteboard with them. There are dozens, like a dozen projects on the HackCville website. There are students, there are community members. Stuff that's come out, Startup Weekend, another great place for collisions. There'll be one in mid-March. I don't know if you if you have a better sense of the date, there's a startup weekend on education coming up, also downtown. So that's it. So I'll just say thank you, have fun with it, and again, just don't hesitate to use us as a resource. This is the thing I love. It's what gives me meaning. Thank you.
You want to take some questions, Spencer?
Yes, please. Yeah. Question?
Yeah, I have a question about when you're working with a group of startups or when you're trying to coach people about working in a startup. Can you talk a little bit about the goal setting and time management skills that you think work in a hectic environment like a startup?
Yes, it's a great question. Let me think about how I want to answer that. You'll have things that are important and other things that feel urgent, and the urgent things will often distract you from what's actually important. Like the inbox that keeps filling up, all the different requests that come in, and what you need to remind yourself of. This is purely opinion, and it's the way that I work. Is what is creating impact for me? What is the outcome that I desire? And focus everything you've got, all your resources on that outcome. So like I said, I don't know if that answers your question entirely, but I found a distinction between that urgency and impactful. How can I measure the outcome? Can I talk to a dozen people in the next 2 days to get a sense of any validation for whatever aspect of the project I'm in? As opposed to like starting to refine color schemes and things. It seems, or maybe that seems urgent at the time.
You go back to that slide with the bike on the stairs.
Right. That was totally staged. We didn't actually ride on the stairs because those things are expensive.
If you mountain bike, you could.
Could have been mounted down. Yes.
I just don't think I've ever seen the top of those pillars before.
I guess it's been covered up for a while now. So when we bought, I did not buy these. When Happy Retterer bought these bikes, we lined up people who would buy them from us. So the idea was, yeah, we had to roll up with some capital here. Like, it did take some money. We took some of the risk out of that by having someone lined up if we didn't work. And the first night that we went out, it was all armor all and it's shiny. And we were going down 14th Street, which is always a party. And it's like this, right? There's no way you're escaping. And the girls in the backseat were like, it's here. And so it was like, 2 brakes, and a motorcycle style disc, and they rid themselves right out of the seats into the road. And we're like, it's so done. We're not gonna like bloody, I hate you. There's no tips for that one. Actually, I tell you what, women are and no offense to them, they're the worst tippers on the rickshaws. Fraternity guys are the best tippers. And they're the best because they will ride by themselves. I know you're walking. And then they get halfway there, and they're like, oh man, there's like some kind of like, you're working so hard, bro. And they're just like, here, take it, just take it. And but girls, they want to like buy you a sandwich, or or a kiss or something. It's not terrible, but it's just mediocre. But no, that's a long answer to your visual. Nick?
What did you try at HackCville that didn't work? And what have you sort of learned from that?
So a lot of things. A lot of like minor things. And the house was itself a hack project, building the space. Part of the thing about building space is it was always responsive. We never were like, we need to have these televisions and all this sort of stuff. It was more like we just needed to not fall on us. And that's what you saw from the, there's a lot of construction there. Yeah, so this was falling down, and you can see at the top, I tore up the ceiling. One of the earliest things I did, I wouldn't call it a startup again, that just confuses things. One of the first businesses I started was in construction, so I had that skill set. That was difficult. In terms of like actually working with students, it was the most difficult, or the things that we failed at a few times were start remembering what it was like to be a student and having, you think you're busy and then you really believe that, trying to realign that perspective is really hard. Any other questions?
And out of all the projects that you've done, what was the most interesting one in your opinion?
This is taking the cake. This involves the most people by far. It's a very active environment right now, between Darden and UVA and Sudco and the groups and innovation downtown. Then there's local groups. I'm heading downtown right after this for a local tech meetup. But I think one of the more interesting things was when I was in third year, I took a semester off of engineering and started a contracting company working with a guy who bought a hydroelectric plant that was built in the 20s, had since been overgrown, and we cleared that, fixed it, and turned it back into a hydro plant which sells power to Appalachian Power, and they actually acquired the facility a few years later afterwards. So that was really cool. It's like you go to engineering school and they want you to build that little balsa wood thing you did in third grade. And then when I went into this project, we bought a crane and built a bridge. It's like, interest level. So yeah, but yeah, I'll make myself available. My name or my stuff is on here, and I'll leave business cards with you. So you're more than welcome to come, pick my brain. And as I said, the challenge is, get started or get involved. That's what's really going to create the entrepreneurial ecosystem. Okay?
I just have one question that I read somewhere that I thought is a good question to ask. It's pretty smart. And
someone else's question.
Build up to the question.
And here it goes. In line with the startup world, what is one thing that you believe that almost no one else in the world believes?
Okay. What is one thing that I believe that no one else in the world believes? Student self-governance, and that entrepreneurship at UVA is your thing, the student thing. What that means is, if you want to have a startup community, an entrepreneurial ecosystem, it must be led by and only by the entrepreneurs. So start doing things.